morning and welcome to the Qualk Show. I am back. You missed my ugly mug last weekend. At least you better have. No,
I miss you so much. I hate being the host. Please don't ever leave me again.
I know. I went off on a holiday and didn't tell the team where I was going because that's how I roll. So welcome to the first show without the host. But tonight we are moving on to show number 2 of the third season on our month-long series all about lesbian procreation, or all kinds of procreation, but specifically, I'm a big lesbo, so I'm going to talk about lesbian procreation. On the agenda tonight is relationships, now versus then. I will not be able to shed a lot of light on this because my relationship has always been in the now versus the then. Yeah, exactly. But we're going to talk about, is there a difference? What kinds of trials and tribulations does a relationship go through during and after having children enter the picture? And we're also going to talk a little bit about being the non-bio mom and any questions, concerns, considerations that come with that title, or I guess lack of a biological bond with the child. Welcoming to the round table, they're going to be here all season. We have Hallie.
Hi.
For the people at back, get in a crowd. Keep coming out anyhow. We've got Stephanie. There she is. Pigtails and hat, looking all hardcore.
I know, she's looking gangster AF.
Yeah, she's a mom. It's hard to believe.
Guys, why did you not give me the hat memo? Like, hello.
I know. It's called, we didn't want to do our hair today, right, Steph?
I mean, I did. It just looks like this.
Wow.
I went from cool to Amish in 2 seconds.
Yeah. There is a lot going on there. And yours truly is back, Carol from Carol's Comedy Corner and the Qualk Show. Super happy to be back with everybody here tonight. So how was your guys' hiatus? I know that it's the second show, but I'm going to treat it like it's the first show because it's my first show. How was your guys' hiatus? And Stephanie, do not call us out on how bad we are during hiatus, please.
I'm just saying, mine was exactly the same way as it has been every single week for a year.
Mine was awesome. Hallie, what about you?
Mine was right in between the two of you. I am for sure the third spoke to this little triad. We got one extreme, we got the other extreme, and then there's Hallie.
I'm the little sister. I'm obviously the older one, and Carol's the Marsha.
Yeah, I'm the little baby one, right?
You're the middle sister.
The middle one that's looking for all the attention. Well,
Yep.
That does sound like me. It does sound like me.
You bust out with a big giant afro, I would be so excited.
Well, let's dive right into the topic tonight. Maybe I shouldn't use that term on a lesbian show, but we are going to definitely dive right in tonight. MarriageMissions.com had an article stating children change a marriage. Duh. I added the duh part. Completely and permanently. They change who we are as individuals and as a couple. They change the way we think and act and relate to each other. They are both an incredible joy and a total distraction as they cause us to redefine ourselves and our relationship. Children throw a marriage out of whack, and that's kind of all-encompassing of what we're talking about tonight. So I'm going to start with you, Steph, because you have the most successful ongoing relationship on the panel.
That's right.
I'm sure we'll be talking about relationships later on in the season and why that may be that they peter out long before 7 years usually, or 10 years, I guess, if you're not counting marriage with you guys. But what are some of the differences that you noticed between PreKids to, not even just now, but when you first had Riley?
Oh, everything. I had all the answers then.
Right?
I knew how to parent better than I actually do now.
Right.
Major differences. So, ironic you brought this up. I was visiting a same-sex couple this afternoon who are very much, one of them is very pregnant and I was giving them a little bit of advice of how it was beforehand versus how it is after. And it's funny because I notice how negative it seems when you have kids, because you focus on all the things that are wrong with your life instead of focusing on all the joy that they bring to your life.
Yeah.
And I had my kids there with me, and at the time they don't have a baby-proof house. So I'm like running in circles chasing my 1-year-old as Riley's running up and down their steps trying to chase the dog. And I'm like, oh, it's great. It's so great. I mean, I sleep all the time now, and I look like this all the time now. And it's so funny. And then afterwards, like, they hugged each other or hugged the dog, something like that. And I was like, but that made it all worth it.
Right.
So it's, I don't really remember a lot about what life was before kids, but the flashbacks that I do have that I think are my memories seem to be really good. So,
yeah. Right.
But I'm so like syncopated now with it that I don't even know how to live without it. So,
yeah. I was never, I mean, we touched on this during last season, but Nicole and I started our relationship during her pregnancy. And, you know, very close to the beginning of it, we decided that we wanted to be together and raise this child together. But we didn't really have a lot of time without our child. So in some ways, I don't really worry about our relationship now. Maybe worry is not the right word, but I worry about it in 20 years when the kids are out of the house, because we've kind of come into this with this, we focus on our relationship, but this singular focus on our daughter. And, you know, it's our common family goal. And so I wonder what it's going to be like after the kids. Hallie, how was it like with you and your ex-wife, pre-Casey and after Casey?
Pre-Casey, I've never spent so much at the bar in my entire life.
I find that hard to believe. I still know who you are.
Yeah, it's true. I spent a lot at the bar. No, now I just drink at home. See?
Exactly.
So pre-Casey, it was, I mean, when we met, we started dating, and it was definitely, our goal was a family. We did the lesbian U-Haul. We got together. We got married. We got pregnant.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that we rushed that because we have different, I mean, we have the same family values and what we want for our daughter, but we had two completely different ideas of what our family was going to look like. And that's kind of when it started spreading apart, because I wanted this focus and she wanted this focus, and neither of them are bad, but they're just very different to the point that those two families aren't ever going to be the same. And so it was better for us to, I have my family with Casey 50% of the time, and she has her family with Casey 50% of the time. And it was definitely a learning experience. I totally think that people should get an animal with their spouse before you have a child. Like, raise an animal with your spouse.
As if they're not even the same. Come on now.
If you have parenting difference with a dog, you're going to have parenting differences with a kid. I'm just saying.
So was that, without getting too much into your personal life, which is, of course, not what I would want to do at all, you know, was that anything that contributed to the demise of the relationship, the difference in parenting styles?
Oh, absolutely. We were definitely two completely different parents, which is good to have different kinds of parents, but it was parenting on top of, I think I was also a surrogate. And so that, I think, fueled the fire of my hormones and emotions and just kind of lit what was already going into just a big old ball of flames.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously none of us would ever say we regret having our kids or whatever, but do you think that had there not been children involved, you could have worked things out, or was it inevitably going to unwind? Or
it was inevitably going to unwind.
Yeah. So kids do make a difference, but they're not the be-all, end-all of all reasons that people are having a hard time bringing their kids' lives.
I think kids put a magnifying glass on things.
Yes.
Yeah. They bring out everything that was wrong with your childhood.
Oh, my glory, yes.
You like think you have a handle, and you're like, ah! I think I just sound like my mother there.
Yeah. 100%. Once your parents, there was a quote, once your parents, your marriage matters more, not less, because now other people are counting on you, which brings me to kind of like that age-old staying together just for the kids. And of course, nowadays, everybody has rightfully said, please do not just stay together for the kids, because it can be much more damaging. But if there's not things like cheating, beating, some real, like, you can't move past them, do you try harder to keep a family together than you would if it was just you and somebody you had dated?
I think that you should only try harder if that person and you are working together. I think that if it's a one-sided relationship, like that's lesbian. I've talked about this before in previous shows. Like lesbian bed death is a really big thing.
LBD,
but
LBD,
right? But lack of affection, lack of understanding, lack of making time, lack of respect, lack of allowing your partner, the second parent, to parent. All those things like chip away at who you are as a core. Like as a person. So if there isn't that mutual respect and communication and work together, I think it's perfectly fine for people to divorce, so that way, as long as they can as long as the parents know that you have to work even harder with each other. If you do separate your union, then you would have to work in hard to trying to save it. Right. So something brought you guys together, and my opinion is work as hard and long as possible to fix what's broken in your own relationship, because it's only gonna be 10 times harder to try to figure out how to navigate if you don't have that relationship. And then you involve other people in new relationships with it. Like it just put layers on layers and layers. And so
I'm assuming, I mean, you
hopefully pick a partner to have kids with that you can trust to work on it with you.
Right. I don't want to pick on you, but I do. And, so you've been in with Adria for what, going on 10 years now, total time?
9.
So I'm assuming there's been some rough patches. I don't know, but I'm assuming in 9 years there's been some rough patches.
And I will admit, yes, there have been.
So, did your desire to stay committed have more to do with the fact that you loved Adria, or you loved your family, or was it an all-encompassing desire to work it out?
It worked in stages. It was the love I have for myself, because when I made a commitment to marrying Adria and creating a family and creating and taking on everything that comes with that, I'm not a loser. I definitely am not. I don't take that well. So if it seems like I can work through it, I will do that. And then, of course, it trickled down to how I feel about Adria, and knowing that the kinds of issues that we were going through were totally normal to the world, but not normal to us. So just seeking out information on trying to understand what happens to a woman after she gives birth, and like what happens to the focus. Because again, we're talking about being the second parent. I did not have that connection with my first daughter the second she came out. I just didn't. I had the idea that I should have the connection. I had the want and the need to have that connection. I just didn't have the same kind of bond that they did. And that the longer that Adria breastfed, and that the more that she dealt with a lot of postpartum, which maybe she'll do a video for us later about that, because that's a very serious topic. Very. The more that I got pushed to the side and acted like, and taught basically what my place was in the new family structure. I think that when we look at those relationships, we have to remind ourselves that when you're going through times of trouble, that's not the person necessarily. That might be the choices they're making in that moment. But if that person is willing to recognize that the relationship itself is worth more, and that it's sort of a wake-up call, you can literally get through anything if both of you are working to do that. And so thank God I married somebody who is willing to work on life with me.
Well, that's the key, right? That's the key, right?
It is.
Being with someone who their relationship is as important to them as it is to you, and that they're willing to do the work, because nothing comes easy.
Because I self-love myself all the time, so I'm working on
we know you do, Stephanie.
Absolutely. You know how I roll. But I'm also the product of a divorce, so I know what it looks like on the other side when you can, break up from a really cancerous relationship, and, what it looks like for your kids and how to handle that. So,
one of the things that you touched on was being the second parent, and feeling that maybe you don't have the same rights and privileges when it comes to raising the child or disciplining the child, or things of that nature. That's something that you said that you struggled with in your relationship. But I know it's a question that we asked on our Qualk Show page on Facebook this week about what is the hardest part for people being the non-biological parent. And we had a few different answers, but one of the ones that was said a couple of different times was they worried about the bond and forming the bond between mother and child, or parent and child, in the same way that the birth mother has. Now, Hallie, you are the birth mother, and Stephanie and I are the second parents, or the non-bio moms.
And so what's parent B?
Parent B?
Parent A, parent B.
I'd be like parent D, like come get me after you've exhausted Nana and Auntie and Mom. I'm parent D. Hallie, I mean, you can only speak to your experience, but do you feel that your ex-wife has any less of a connection with your daughter, or is it just different?
I know at the beginning she was really worried. Like when we talked about how we were going to create our family, which we talked about on the last show. My ex-wife and I really talked about how she wanted me to do an IUI, and then we would do a reciprocal IVF because she wanted to have a biological child. After we had Casey and she got to hold her, she didn't worry about that anymore. Her and Casey definitely have a different relationship. I don't know if that is our personalities. I don't know if that's I was home with Casey for quite a bit of the beginning of her life.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just how I parent. Her and I parent very differently. I mean, neither of us are bad, but both just very differently. And so that's created different relationships between Casey and I and Casey and Jess. So I mean, neither of them are bad, but I definitely, when we were together, I was the mom that made the majority of the decisions. It was, what did mama say? What did mama say? What did mama say? Because that's just how our relationship worked.
Yeah. Would you have taken offense to your ex trying to assert herself more in that capacity, where she was saying, don't go ask mom, I'm going to make this decision. I'm going to be I'm going to take the reins and make these decisions.
If you're watching right now, I'm really sorry, but sometimes I wish she would do that right now. We've been divorced like 3 years.
Yeah. And they're very good friends.
And we're really good friends. Yeah. We have drinks all the time. We get together. Yeah, we're great together. She just got married over our break. So congratulations to her. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But she still to this day will text me and say, okay, well, Casey's feeling this way and she's thinking about this. So I was thinking about keeping her home. What do you think? I'm like, dude, you're her parent. Make a call. Like, this is your day. This is your time. Make your call.
So whatever. If you break up, we're still going to have to be parented from our ex.
Exactly. Steph, you and I can talk about this, though, because we both have love to death ball breakers for fiancés and wives.
No joke.
Expected Hallie's much the same. So is it out of fear that we check in as wives?
I'm still afraid of my mother, and I'm totally afraid of my wife.
I know, and it speaks, Hallie, the fact that your ex is still afraid of you as well. So.
You know what? I think that's healthy. I want everybody to have a tiny bit of fear of me because I will destroy your life. I'm just saying. And she knows
you
that.
Heard it here first on the Qualk Show, ladies and gentlemen.
I think it's healthy for children to fear you.
Well,
they're not grown-ass adults that try to raise children.
Doesn't matter. My grandma to this day will tell you, you may be taller, you may be faster, but I'll always be meaner.
No,
yes, ma'am.
I like it.
Yes, ma'am.
I like it.
That woman is like 5 foot nothing. But she can drag me under the table.
She had to make up for extra inches.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I really had this fear because I'm also adopted. So I guess my whole life I've really felt like I didn't have anything that was mine or that was like biologically connected to me. So as excited as I was to have a child, I didn't know what that was going to look like because I had dated women with older children before. And no matter how close you get, to me, in my situation, I always felt like a third wheel kind of. And I almost felt a little jealous over the attention that the child got that I didn't get at going into that situation. But once you have your own kid, it's completely different because she's both of our focus. Like I was away last week and every time I talked to my partner, I was like, I miss Taya. I miss Taya so much. What's Taya doing? I miss that girl. She's like, hi.
Hi, your fiance. Remember me? Cool.
Yeah, exactly. But I think
she's a baby, so she's just so much less judgmental.
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know about that. She judges me constantly, or maybe that's just dictates to me. But one of the quotes that I saw was, being a mother is an attitude, not a biological reaction. So what do you think about that? Do you think, and I do believe this because, in a nutshell, I met my biological mother when I was 19. And one of the things that I didn't like about it is that she called herself mom right away. And I was like, yo, hold up. I already have a mom. And that was my non-blood mom, but I was very attached and loyal to. So I don't think that blood necessarily makes up love. What do you think, Steph?
I know it doesn't, because we don't know biologically who the mother is to our children because we do reciprocal unknown IVF. So because we don't know, people always want to try to infuse, well, she looks like you, or she, and they're always trying to like biologically, create the relationship for us. And it's like, we race so hard against it. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But I will say, because we're a lot like Hallie and her ex-wife, we parent very differently. And so we also are very different. We could not be more polar opposite, my wife and I. So because of that, we have different relationships with our kids. So here's the thing. I recognize, having talked to my male friends and trying to talk them off of ledges of divorcing their just birthed wives, that when you give birth to a human being, something physiological happens to you. And observing this as a woman watching my wife, I know that my children have a deeper connection with her than I will ever physically understand, because I wasn't the one that just, squeezed them out and then had that like instant thing. My relationship has to manifest over time. And so for me, both my children, it happened where I got really close to them right around 1. And that I think it's because I just generally, I like babies, but I don't love babies. Like there's nothing about nurturing a baby that makes me happy. I'm parent B, where I want to pull you out of a bar when you're 18 and give you that life lesson, that Oprah style one, right? So I know my place in the world, and I hope that, other people will also hook up with a partner that can pick up the pieces of the stuff that you screw up on, because, I think that's what being a good mom is. It doesn't come immediately to everybody.
To have two sides to that coin. I mean, you shouldn't have two parents that are exact same. Of course, you need to have core values that are the same, but no.
I can make a case for every kid should have 2 moms. I just think that's true.
You heard it here first. We are ending straight breeding here on the Qualk Show.
No offense to
taking over.
No offense to my gay guy friends. They are entitled to parent too. I just think that every child should have 2 moms, whether they be.
I've seen quite a few 2 dads that are doing pretty awesome.
I believe that. But there's something about 2 female entities in your life from polar opposites. I think they can lead you through salvation. I really do.
Yeah, or it can drive you straight onto the crazy train.
I know. Poor Casey. My daughter is just gonna be effed. I mean, between me
and had the kid, the Christian kid, my daddy didn't love me, so he left, and now I think gay marriage shouldn't happen. He's an
my dad could not be cooler with the gays. I mean, he was cool with the gays before being gay was cool, but he said something the other day about our helicopter parenting style with both of us, and he was like, "Well, you see, the trouble is she's got 2 moms." And he did it. And
I like that you gave your dad the Queen of England's voice.
Well, they are very clean, like the king of it. The trouble is, they've both got 2 moms. Nobody talks about higher.
Oh God, I've been watching that show, The Crown. He sounds like, what was that guy's name? I've been super on Netflix lately, watching The Crown.
I heard that The Crown's really good, and that a lot.
It's really good.
Another interesting quote I loved was, "A mother isn't the person who births you. It's the person who rears you and shows you love." That's Raquel Sapita. And that kind of just goes in what I was talking about being adopted, is that, I have a biological mother that I know birthed me and accidentally got pregnant at 15, and I'm here. Awesome. But I have a mom that raised me and has been there for me through everything in my life, ups and downs, trials and tribulations, good and bad. That's my mom. She's done the time.
I would argue, though, that I feel that we have many moms throughout our lives. I have so many moms. I feel that my aunt has been a mom to me. I mean, if we go by that definition, my aunt has been a mom to me a period of time. My best friend's mom is absolutely my mom. I mean, I feel like you have maternal figures throughout your life at different points when you need them.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be blood at all. They could be somebody else's mom. They could be a coworker. They could be your work wife. I mean, there are so many maternal figures that we all have. That absolutely. Blood means nothing.
I agree. That's a great point. And one of the other things that Steph said, gosh, I'm going to have to think back now because Steph always has so much to say. That was supposed to be a joke. Hallie's like, Next. Yeah, I already know that.
Every truth derives from reality.
It'll come back to me, and I'll interrupt you later to talk about it. But
where you were going to say, I'm awesome and perfect, and I always have the answers.
Of course. What else would there be to say?
Now I'm a mind reader on top of being awesome.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Get out of
that's
my
what
head.
it was. You said that you started to bond. Mind reader, right? Right there. Woo! Got it. Here it is. You said that you became really close with your daughter around 1, and that actually just spoke to me when you said that, because I've always been, if you're on my Facebook, you know I'm addicted to my daughter. Like, she's the best thing ever. But just recently she started reaching for me in a crowd, wanting to be by my side, picking me over Nicole, Nana, anybody else, and I realized I'm her person. So this is that was probably one of the most beautiful moments when I realized, like, I'm her safe place to land, and she loves me the same as Nicole. She'll pick me over Nicole sometimes, or not the same, but the same. I'm her person. And so that's only starting to happen now. So that speaks to me when you talk about that.
It's a lot of like what they always try to pinpoint as daddy's little girl syndrome.
Yeah.
I think that when both of my children, whenever they're hurt, they run to Adria for comfort and nurturing and all that kind of stuff. And when they are feeling a little spicy, they come and find mama, and we wrestle and we play. But even tonight, like, every day is a new day. Like, tonight we were sitting at a restaurant, we were eating, and out of nowhere, like, after dinner, every night, generally, Riley will come over and sit on my lap and we cuddle, because she always says she's cold after she's done eating. And tonight at the restaurant, her best friend was there, and she came and sat on my lap for a good 20 minutes and just cuddled me. And every time I would like pay attention to something else, she would like cuddle me in deeper and just stare at me. And I was like, I'm not the nurturing parent, but she needs me to be right now, so I will be. Mm-hmm. So I did that, and I prioritized that, and I was like, this feels really good. And this is a short-lived moment, because we're not these people. Yeah. I know who I am in your life, and I know who you are in mine, but let's do it. So I think they always cross each other, and, I've seen them be goofy with Adrian, kind of crazy all over. And I think we're on this journey, but I know who I am in my kid's life. It took me a while to get there. But Adria is the number one. I know that.
Yeah. What would you say, and I mean, none of us have had this problem, but what would you say to someone that's maybe struggling to find that connection, different things that they could do, or different activities, or spending more time, or sleeping in the same bed, or what different things could you do to try to facilitate that bond?
Probably first.
Oh, I have something, because my ex relationship, she really tried to push not necessarily push in a bad way, but she tried to create a relationship with Casey, but it didn't go about it the right way. I mean, I think it depends on the child. You really have to come at them from their level, but also you have to be authentically you. Like, you have to be who you are 1,000%, and your kid's either going to like that or not. Yeah. I think that it's really, I mean, especially if you're coming into like a step parent or a new relationship situation, that person needs to be the friend person. They need to be the calm situation. As far as like coming into a brand new baby, I don't know. Other than, I know for my ex-wife, the skin-to-skin contact when Casey was a newborn was so important for my ex-wife. Like, that's when she started feeling that bond and they did skin-to-skin every single night for like a month. Yeah. And that was really important for her. So I think it really depends on the age.
Yeah, I think skin to skin is a great one. And it's one of the ones that I've seen recommended on many of the different chat sites, as well as something that we practiced in our home as well. I've always been a little self-conscious about my body. I remember the first night at the hospital and Nicole saying, like, take off your shirt and go skin to skin. I was like, are you kidding? Like, we're in the middle of public. Like, I'm not taking off my shirt. But I wanted to establish that bond as closely as I could, and so
you could have just did what we all did and got a bigger shirt and slipped the kid in.
With the hospital that I delivered Casey at, the first 2 hours of every child's life is spent on pending there's no medical problems. The first hour they're on birth mom's chest, and then the second hour she just put a gown on. Casey went on, she covered her up, and she spent her second hour of her life. I mean, that's hospital protocol. Yeah. So that was really nice. And when I had my surrogate twins at the same hospital, they did that with both of the dads. So
That's
each
so
baby spent
good.
an hour on each dad, and then they swapped.
That's
so they
awesome.
got that hour of time with the baby. It was amazing.
That is amazing. This could go on, and it will, because we talked about it last week. We're talking about it this week, and we're going to keep talking about it till the end of the month. Different aspects, different areas of this huge subject. And so make sure that you're on our Facebook page at the Qualk Show or Facebook. How else can everybody get a hold of us, Hallie? I'm just going to throw that out there.
Make sure that if you like this video, give us a thumbs up so that we know that you like this topic. Put comments below if you have something you want to hear. Write in the comments below. Share this with your friends and family. If you're in some pregnant group, maternity, lesbian group, share it out there. We want to get in touch with more people, and we want people on our show. Make sure if
you want on our show.
We do. We are all about this. Our original plan was to bring the chat rooms into a virtual space. So that's what we want with this. Make sure that you're subscribed, because we're putting out our show every single week, but we're putting out some random content. So if you want to be notified, make sure you hit the little bell next to the subscribe button. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or you want to give us money because you want to be a sponsor, hit us up at thequalkshow@gmail.com.
Yeah, I love it. Tune in next week. We're going to continue talking about all things baby, discussing TCC and the TWW.
Do you know what that is, Carol? You didn't have to deal with that.
Don't.
No, I
don't.
I love it.
I was waiting to see what you said.
I was like, I know, and I was like, TWW. And I'm like making up things in my head, but just tell me what it is. Tell the viewers.
It is the 2-week wait and trying to conceive.
There you go.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about
not even close to what I was making up in my mind.
You will need us so hard for the second baby when that week.
I know.
Oh my God, those 2 weeks are coming up. And if you're not subscribed, you should subscribe, because I'm a surrogate and I'm starting my process right now. So I'm going to hit my 2-week wait in about 15 days. So you're all going to have to keep me busy, because I'm going to hurt somebody.
I love it. Hopefully not us. Again, follow us on Facebook. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. And if you've got nothing better to do, tune into Carol's Comedy Corner in about 15 minutes as we go live with the first ever edition of Tub Time Tuesdays with Carol. We are going to be karaokeing. We are going to be talking about what we're grateful for. And I want everybody there live so that I can chat with you. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks for being a part of our lives. And remember, there is always something to quack about. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Yes.